Hi everyone, Joe Kehrig with the Kehrig Real Estate Team, and this is your San Ramon Valley neighborhood update the week of February 22nd. Well, if we look at the graphs this week, if you've been watching it week by week, you can see it's kind of a mixed bag of goods. We actually have some, better news for buyers and a little better news for sellers. Not that the sellers need a lot of better news right now because they are definitely, because of the supply and demand, out of whack. But let's take a look at San Ramon. You can see San Ramon. The good part about San Ramon, remember we always talk about this, all of these are sellers markets. But what we're hoping for is what happened over the last year is pending sales would go up, active properties would go down, and that's what created this imbalance in the market and getting, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 56 offers was the most I heard of in San Ramon. So you have this imbalance, but what's been happening now is the inventory has been keeping pace for the most part with, depending again what city, as you'll see. But that's why we'll have record sales this year, because I get asked that question, Joe, if there's no inventory, how can we have record sales? It's because there's a lot of homes going on, but the demand, they're absorbing them the minute they hit the market. But if we look at San Ramon, you'll notice, look at the active listings. So all 3 weeks, they've been going up, and the pending properties have stayed somewhat stable. They went up a little bit last week, but for the most part, stayed fairly stable. So that's a good thing. I mean, as long as we have inventory replenishing, what we don't want to see is basically it go the other way. Now, Danville's a little bit different situation. You look at Danville and look at the last couple weeks, active, this is where it's a mixed bag of goods, where there was some good news for buyers in San Ramon. In Danville, this is not good news for buyers, where the pendings are going up and the actives are going down. It just makes the market worse and worse if you're a buyer. And we'll talk at the end of these, how is this going to change? Is there going to be any changes? Is it a bubble? Well, we'll cover that in a sec. But let's look at Blackhawk. Blackhawk was the same type of thing. We got all the way up to 13 listings from a low of 4, and then look what's happened. Pending sales up, active properties down. So Blackhawk, again, the seller's market even became a little bit worse. Alamo, kind of good news. You saw active properties go up and the pending properties go up also, but at least the active properties kept pace. And Dublin, pending properties up, active stayed about the same. That's kind of a mixed bag of goods. The bottom line is it's a seller's market all over the place. When you look at the sold price, the list price percentage, for the second week in a row, San Ramon went over 110%, 111% the last 2 weeks. And what that means is if you have a property they're asking $100,000, the average price is over 1.1 million. If you have something going for $1 million, the average sales price is over 1.1. It's literally nuts. And San Ramon is a lot of those ones getting 40, 50 offers. So that's why it's nice to see with San Ramon this week that we see the inventory stepping up a little bit. And you can see 100% almost all the way down the line. Alamo, 99%. But again, there's only a few sales in Alamo, and they're higher end, which obviously will bring down the percentage a little bit. So anyway, what can actually slow this market down? Where can we see some changes in the market? Well, first off, let's talk about a bubble. All you have to do is look at my videos over the last year. We're not in a bubble. This is not 2008. They say 42% of the people in the United States don't even have a mortgage. And there's, I think, almost 90%. People talk about, well, what about the forbearance? Do you guys know that almost 90% of the people in forbearance have at least 11% equity? So if things get too bad, they'll just basically, sell their home. They're not going to lose it because they have equity in it. And many of those people have a lot more equity than just, 11%, but they just aren't in a position to be able to make their payments. Plus, even though the forbearances were way up, most of them basically came out of forbearance. So again, they just went into forbearance just to kind of cover themselves a little bit. So again, this is not the shortage in the United States of homes is not going away, especially in our area. There's just not that much land. It's so expensive to build in California. The only thing I have to say is thank God that there's a lot of people fleeing the state, because that's kind of what's happening in the San Ramon Valley. We're getting all these people from San Jose and the peninsula that don't have to commute anymore, that want to go out to the suburbs, from the cities. And so we have a ton of buyers come in, and obviously because of the, we have such a demand. But we have a lot of people leaving the state. So that's why we have a lot of turnover. And even though we don't have a ton of inventory, we at least have inventory coming on. Where we've had a lot of our clients move to, let's say, Idaho, like Boise, Eagle, Meridian, Idaho. The problem that you have there is the fact that it's like the East Bay. You have all these people coming over, like the San Ramon Valley and Meridian, Idaho, but in Eagle, Idaho. But the problem is no one's moving out of Idaho. So you really have a situation where it's even worse in some of those markets where you have all this demand and you really don't have hardly any supply at all. So at least in our area, the San Ramon Valley, what's going to really slow the market down? Well, there's like three things. Now, obviously, everything is all about supply and demand. You can drop me any place in the United States, show me the active and the pending properties, and I'll tell you where the market's going. So what can potentially slow this down? Well, either more supply or less demand. So the one thing I can absolutely tell you, because I've been doing this professionally for 43 years, and it's happened every year. When we get to the end of spring, early summer, a lot of people are planning their move for the summer because of school. And so we will absolutely see more inventory come on the market. The key is going to be the demand, because we can see a lot more inventory for week after week after week, and there's so much demand that it will burn off the minute it hits the market. But it's definitely still better. I mean, getting 5 offers on a home if you're a buyer, competing against 4 other people is a lot better than 10 offers and competing against 9. So if there's more inventory, it will spread the buyers out a little bit. So we know there's going to be more inventory, but I'll be honest with you, that's not going to be enough. There's such a demand. The inventory alone is not going to do it. It's going to take the demand to wane out a little bit. And here's a couple ways the demand might slow down. Interest rates going up. And that is starting to happen, right now. And we're going to cover that in a second. Interest rates going up. Obviously, not as many people moving out. And that definitely could happen, because as a vaccine becomes successful, and even though a lot of companies I don't think they're definitely going to pare down their leases and such forth and have more people work out at home now that they're basically used to it, there'll still be more people coming back to work. So there's not going to be as many people fleeing the areas away from work if they're basically are potentially going to go back to work. So you have that situation. So that might cut demand down a little bit. Plus, if the vaccine is successful, what will happen is the economy will get better and you'll see interest rates go up. You've already seen the interest rates go up a little bit. And look at this graph. This is a 10-year treasury moving upward. Now, you sit there and say, well, what does this have to do with anything? We'll look at the treasury rate going up and up and up and up from October, 2020. Well, and you go, well, what does it have to do with interest rates? Well, look at this next graph. For almost 50 years, the 30-year mortgage rate has moved in unison with the 10-year treasury rate. And so you basically see what's been happening. It's almost a mirror image of it. So as the 10-year treasury goes up, interest rates will also follow those up. So here's what you have. When you have a situation where maybe we get more supply and we have less demand. That less demand is maybe not as many people moving out because the vaccine's successful. And if vaccine's successful, the economy gets a little bit more on its feet and interest rates go up. We've already started to see them go up a little bit as the vaccines have become more and more, successful. Johnson & Johnson now has been approved as a 3rd vaccine. And the thing about the Johnson & Johnson vaccine that's so superior is the fact that you only need 1 dose. You only need 1 shot, and you don't have to hold it in, these sub-freezing, temperatures. So let's hope that comes out. We've definitely seen a flattening compared to January of cases. So that's going to, as people get more confident and the economy picks up, interest rates are sure to go up. Now, do I think it's going to turn into a buyer's market? No, Not this year. It's going to stay a seller's market all this year, and so, unless something drastic happens. But we definitely, hopefully, will see a little bit of an even market. Whereas a buyer, you don't have to go out and compete against, 20 other offers. You can maybe, compete against the best listings, get 2 or 3 offers, and the ones that aren't as nice maybe don't get any offers at all. So obviously, every market's a little bit different. Every neighborhood's a little bit different. If you have any questions at all about, your home, should you sell, where would you go, what would you do, give us a call. Remember, we basically, the Kehrig team, we're advisors and consultants, and we meet with people all the time that aren't really planning to move right now, maybe a year from now, and just want to get things set up, or they might decide, hey, maybe now's the time to sell. So if you have any questions at all, reach out. My cell number is 925-487-6838, or drop me an email, joe@kehrigteam.com. Again, cell 925-487-6838. As always, be safe, be cautious. May God bless you, and may God bless your family, and may God bless the United States of America.